Okay, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have got Tom joining us. So Tom is from Arizona, but he is currently in Portland for the winter. So he's 65. He's a retired construction project manager. Going to be awesome to come on the channel today, Tom. Share your story. Can't wait for this one. Yeah. So thanks a lot for
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. Thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. So how long have you not drank for now, Tom?
It will have been 10 months on the 4th. So what was that? Just 2 days ago, 10 months.
Yeah, so he posted
Yeah,
in the community that he just reached 9 months, but now he's realized
yeah,
that it's 10
yeah,
months.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
We don't
And
count the days, right?
no, no, don't count the days, but my wife started a thing where, in AA, they give you chips, or you get a chip. And so what we do is we have tortilla chips, and she, with a Sharpie marker, she draws the month on there, and we post them in the windowsill. So
Oh,
we
bless.
just have to remember not to eat them. So
Nice, Tom. So before you joined the program, what was life like? Like, what was the drinking like? Describe your situation.
so going back, a long time ago, I guess I had a somewhat normal life. I didn't start drinking in my teens or anything like that. Maybe in high school, and it's just kind of the party now and then, and drinking beer, that kind of thing. And then as life goes on, of course, all the other things go on, and I guess the real turning point for me was I was doing a project in Israel, and this was back when right after I turned 50, and um, we had a lot of Englishmen and a lot of Irishmen, and uh, I did my best to keep up. And to be honest, I think it got my mind that was kind of normal. I mean, every day was a bender. And now and then we'd have a alcohol-free day, and so it kind of started then. And then when I was 50, I had a little heart issue, and I ended up going to the hospital and had a stent put in. And so that was scary for me. And after the operation and stuff, I didn't go to work for a good couple months, and I started drinking again. And anyway, I was a highly functional alcoholic, for those next 10, 12 years. And finally, at one point, I really had just had enough. I mean, I tried to quit. I tried to cut back. I did all those things. It was the willpower game, and it didn't work. And so finally, I checked myself into a rehab place. It was a 30-day thing in Arizona, and it was good. It was good in that it did get me off, but it was the AA method, and I, went to meetings afterwards, and that basically kept me sober for a good, 10 years, 12 years. I mean, it worked, but then slowly I crept back, to where you think you got it licked. And I think I was listening to one of the other folks that you interviewed where um, you think, oh, okay, I'm cured now, and because you're trained to believe it's a disease.
Mm.
And it was creating problems with my wife and our relationship, and because I just wasn't the same. I wasn't near as productive. And even after I retired, it was fine for a while, but then the drink just took over. And then I ran across your YouTube channel, and it it struck a bell with me because it was a new way of doing things. And I'm kind of like some, and to each his own, but I don't buy into the whole disease thing. I think I made the disease. But anyway, regardless, you just get desperate looking for something that works. And between your youth and vitality and everything else, I mean, it just struck home. And after I you know, signed up with you and read through the modules, and I really tried to smoke through the modules, and I really found them inspirational. They were just great. and I've read them. I bet I've read them a dozen times, and I still read them. I don't read them every night, but whenever I take time to read them, I find them helpful. So anyway, that's the backstory.
Yeah. So for you, it kind of started later on in life, like 50s,
Yes.
and then it kind of got to a place where you're like, I don't want to do this. You did the rehab, you did the 12-step stuff, and you stayed off it for like, I think you said 9 or 10 years.
Yes. Yes.
And then how long did you actually drink for before, like in that like transitionary period from 12-step drinking, then starting this program?
Um, you know, like I said, I was a functioning alcoholic. So it was kind of the traditional get home from work, and have a couple, and maybe on weekends have a couple more. And I look back on it, and I think I was probably more of a binge drinker, than a regular drinker. It was, or that's certainly what it progressed to. It was because after I retired, I didn't have work to go to. I didn't have to be functional, and if there were occasions where, the wife was out of town or something like that, it's like, well, geez, it's 9 o'clock, I guess it's okay. So I don't know what you call that, but it's not a good place to be. So,
Mm.
when it got to the point where I was looking at the clock, trying to figure out when I could have something, it's like, no, this is not right. Aside from the fact the relationship was going to shit, and my wife she's a very loving person and very patient, but she finally had a belly full of it, and she moved out, and that was a big wake up call. So, and I wasn't going to have that. So that
Mm.
was the big turning point. So,
Yeah. So okay, so how has it been different doing what we've done together compared to what you'd already tried in the past?
um, first off, going with the other method, you feel like you have to go to those AA meetings, like that's what's going to keep you off the drink, is weekly or daily, or, whatever it is that works. And it just wasn't for me, because to me, it was going there and just hearing a bunch of horror stories. It was everybody just sharing what they went through. And I don't mind hearing that, because, some of, your clients, yeah, we get some horror stories, and I don't mind those, because it snaps you back into reality, but I don't need to hear them every week. I like the fact that, like your weekly call-in meetings, you know, it's all about sharing positive things. It's how have you benefited? What can you be thankful for, since our last meeting? Yeah, versus, well, what kind of bad shit happened to you, last week? It just, it's not positive reinforcement, the other method, in my opinion. Yeah. Versus yours is, plus you have the modules you can go through, and those modules are so refreshing, versus looking at the big book. Or I if I want to watch horror stories, I can watch that reality TV show or something. I don't, I don't. And to be honest, the first time I quit, I used to watch them because it would just scare the Jesus out of me. How awful, some of these things were. And I'm lucky in that I didn't have anything bad happen to me. I didn't get in a wreck. I didn't kill anybody. It wasn't any, I wasn't robbing or anything like that, but stealing, but, and they, when I was in that rehab, they called me a low bottomer. It's like, wow, you don't have anything bad that happened to you, and they're right. There wasn't anything that happened like to them, but to me, it was bad enough.
Yeah.
So, um, and I found, going through Soberclear, after I read through the modules, it kind of gets your head in the right place, because you stress that you need to follow, the pattern. Don't jump ahead. Don't, follow it in that order. And I found that really easy. And so you could get yourself mentally prepared that, yes, I can do this. I've got the tools. It's not, for me, it worked best to go through all that and then quit. Because to quit and then try to read through it, you got, I have too many other things in my mind to be worrying about learning at the same time as I'm quitting. So
Great, man.
so it worked.
Yeah. Love it. So, over the past 10 months, Tom, like, how has life changed? Like, what benefits have you found? How have the different areas of your life got better?
Oh, it's been huge. Like I say, my wife was living in another house close by to the house that we've since sold, but I quit in December 4th. I would visit with her maybe once or twice a week. I mean, it was up to her, but then it progressed to where, we had Christmas dinner together, and I let her kind of establish the pace. I didn't want to push it or anything like that. And it was a good 3 months before we were finally living under the same roof together. But that's what the pace was, because I had a lot to show her. I had a lot to prove. And between not drinking, that also enabled me to go see a therapist, and that helped too, because it helped me get my thoughts together, where I would keep a daily diary of things that I accomplished, and that really helped. It wasn't a diary like, this is what I did today. It's write things that you're thankful for that you did that day. And of course, the first item on that list was always, and remains, I did not drink today. And then it could be something as simple as I walked the dog today. I made breakfast, I cleaned the house, and that was really helpful to me, because again, it was on the positive side, instead of negative. Negative doesn't work, not for me anyway. The scare part doesn't work.
I think for you, that's the key theme, and it's a big part of why you've been successful, is because you're a positive guy, and you really, when you focus on the good, it's just much better than focusing on the negative, right?
Right. And before quitting drinking, I'd procrastinate like crazy, and I've had that problem all my life, but it just got tenfold worse. And then I'd feel overwhelmed. And so now that I'm not drinking, that's like, oh, okay, I got my little to-do list, and I make sure I hit it. I may not hit it in the same order I planned, but at least I'm getting stuff done. I'm just so much more productive. The productivity is the way it should be. It's the way I am naturally. And I'm sure I'm a nicer person. I'm not even going to call it a drawback, because you kind of preface for this, but there are some neighbor friends that we aren't in contact with anymore. I mean, they used to live right next door, but since then they've moved away, and they want to know why we don't get together. And it's like, and that's not their fault. That's me, but I know my limits, and I am not going to get myself in a position where I'm back, doing that, because it's not fun. It's just, they're drinking friends, and I'm not drinking. So so anyway, but that's a small price to pay.
So big thing is productivity. It sounds like your overall outlook has changed. Like, you're much more positive. Like, mental health sounds a lot better. Big thing is your romantic relationship with your wife, and then you feel like a nicer person.
Yes, yeah. Those are big things, and you have to do it for yourself. And if you're doing it for somebody else, to me, that would be a tough road to do. It's good to have that doing it for somebody else as a little bit of a push, but you have to do it for yourself. You have to know that you're doing this for yourself, and everything else will get better. If you do it for yourself, everybody will be okay with you. To me, that's at least a little bit of advice for people that are thinking about doing it or not.
Yeah.
you got to do it for yourself. You're not committed. It's going to be a tough road.
Yeah, I agree, man. So last question, Tom. So if you've got somebody that was like, thinking about joining the program, but they're kind of like on the fence, they're a bit skeptical, they're not sure, what's like one piece of advice that you'd give to that person?
It's a program that really allows you to focus on the positive side of not drinking. The saying that you have about it's poison, I think of that all the time, but it's a positive experience. It makes something that can be really difficult to do, in my mind, a lot easier. It's that's what I'd say.
So should they do it?
They should do it. They should do it. Yeah, you have nothing to lose. Actually, you do have a lot to lose, and it's a win-win situation. And unfortunately, there's probably a lot of younger people, and I don't know what your client base is, as far as demographics, age-wise, but sometimes when you're younger, and you're lucky, you wised up really, I would think, at a young age, more so than a lot of people. But a lot of people got to go through all the hard knocks, and some of them don't make it. So anyway, the sooner you do it, the better. That's my advice.